I remember talking to.
Oh wait, you're all by yourself
Oh.
too. Look at we're live.
Are we live?
We're live, man.
Boom.
But we're talking about
Cool.
lacrosse. If you guys look on
Yeah.
the background here, let me show it. Right there in the background is a lacrosse helmet. In Idaho, we don't
Yeah.
have. I don't know if they do, but they didn't when I was a kid. Didn't play lacrosse at all. Um, and so I thought it was interesting to see how, like, just different sports.
Yeah.
Idaho football's big, baseball's big, wrestling. Um, I mean, swimming, tennis, all that stuff, but no lacrosse. So maybe
Yeah.
somebody from
Yeah.
Idaho can tell me if they're playing lacrosse now. So, ladies and
It's
gentlemen,
growing.
welcome.
It's growing
It's
in the
growing.
Northwest.
Yeah,
But
I saw.
yeah. Go
You
ahead.
need your banana, dude.
I know. I need my banana. Need my microphone banana.
Oh, we're like really late too, man. So sorry, you guys. It's a little bit behind. I was stuck in Seattle traffic. I have my buddy Joe Hodge joining us, from Hodge Canine down in Arizona. How's the heat down there?
Loving it. Loving it.
How hot is it right now?
Let's see.
Heard you guys almost had a tornado or something a couple of days ago.
Today's a nice cool 104, so it's not too bad. Saturday
Good to
will be
listen.
112. Then I'll get a little toastier, but
So, dude, how do you manage dogs in that environment?
AC is huge. Yeah, I mean, even the reason I have like my new Sienna, the reason I got that was because my Forerunner, the AC kept going out like every year because it would just cook over the summer. So, um, yeah, AC is huge. Time of day is huge, and then also trying to like do acclimations to the heat. So even like my boarding room, I try to keep that a little warmer than you know is comfortable. Or where you're like, oh, it's an ice box. I'd rather have it a little warmer so that way when they go outside, it's not a huge adjustment to kind of like, all right, it's 68 degrees inside and now it's 115 outside. So I try to keep it at like 78 um, in there. So it's still cool and comfortable, but not, you're chilling. So
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I couldn't imagine. I mean, here in the Pacific Northwest, that's what I'm so thankful for is that it lends itself to be a very friendly dog weather area where it gets wet in this winter time. Right, that's what sucks about it is that
yeah.
definitely you're going to have to deal with wet dogs. Um, and that's one of the things that I like about the Martin System e-collar too is not just they
Mhm.
have this thing called the SSC, which has to do with the amount of stimulus that the electric collar. There we go. Kashi's here. And when you get an anything electrical wet, water is conductive, and so some collars, when dogs are either swimming in a pond or if they get really wet in the weather, that can have an effect on the amount of stimulus that electric collar can be bringing to the dog. So it's important, and that's one of the reasons why I have my clients buy the premium Martin System Chameleon collars. They're amazing for that. So little plug there for my friends Michael and Bart Bellin. Excellent collar. Ooh, what's going on? I have.
Yeah, they also have the temperature monitor on there too, so that's huge for us down there.
Yeah, well, and that's on the new one, right? So
Hmm.
the Chameleon, the CTT4, which is the new unit. And you guys, if you're interested in any of these e-collars, I just did an unboxing, and it's free of charge for my Patreon viewers. So if you guys want to check that out, you can join my Patreon, patreon.com/Bow Wow Bills. I'll put a link in the comments down below. And for all my Patreon supporters, thank you, thank you, thank you. You can support me for as little as $5 a month. And I do have exclusive content on my Patreon that I will be uploading here shortly as well. And you can watch that free unboxing of the Chameleon 4 and the CTT 4 transmitter that Joe and I are talking about right now. It's the top of the line, the best of the best, and I absolutely recommend it. So, and it just like, and I tell my clients, just like when you go and buy a car, like you're talking about the Sienna in your truck, like there's certain features in cars that you pay a premium for, and
Mhm.
it's about the experience, the quality, and oh look at, but also the features of safety and animal welfare that are present within the chameleon collars too. You want to here?
Yeah,
Let me.
I've even got the waggle for mine, so that way I have that kind of temperature monitor in there too. It's not the best, but it's definitely better than having nothing in there.
So what is that? The waggle. I know that who was talking about this earlier. It was waggle. What is it called? Waggle.
Yeah, it's supposed to kind of notify you if it temperature reaches a certain level. And it like
Huh.
auto updates like every 15 minutes or something like that. So I have that, and then I also have the Govee in there as well. So I have like multiple systems. The Govee's better at, you know, if you're within Bluetooth range, then you can kind of see what it's at right this second. But if you're outside of Bluetooth range, it's not going to notify you, where the Waggle will because it's self-service.
Now,
So if I have,
can you set up an alert system so in case it does get too hot in
yep,
there that it will alert you?
yep. I think it's originally made for RVs.
Yeah, that's what it
Um,
says here. Yep.
yep. Um, so yeah, it can be even like if there's power loss. So if you plug it in and the car dies, then it'll notify you of that. And then also if it hits a certain temperature that you set, um, then it'll kind of alert you on that.
Very cool, man.
So
So I'm going to put up a link to mywaggle.com in the comments down below. And then what was the other one that you were talking about also, Joe?
Govee, I think it's Govee. So I have
Govee.
that one where while I'm driving, I can kind of check, you know, at at the time what it's exactly at, and then it tracks like graph, so you can go back during the day and see what the car was at. So that's what I keep in my boarding room, and then in my car, and then the waggle is just for the car.
So that's what it is with extreme climates, man. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
especially if you guys are traveling with your dogs. I just bought an RV, dude. So um, that's why I'm very interested in this stuff too. So here's the Govee. Or here, let me share this one instead. So yeah, we're getting right into it, man. Here's so do you? It's a 3-pack, so you can put these in the crates too, or on the crates, or
Yeah, just outside of it, they have different points in the vehicle. And they have multiple different products. One has like a screen where you can see on it. That's what I have in my boarding room. And then in my car, I have ones very similar to that. I think it's just an older model.
very cool. Dude, the technology is so badass, man.
Hmm.
You know, there's so much to be thankful for in this world. You know, where we can travel. Like I can go, like literally, I can go to the airport right now and go just anywhere in the world I want to. Right, and if you
Yeah,
have the money's a great tool, great resource, but there's just so much to be thankful for. And a lot of times people kind of get into the headspace of being offended and looking for things every single day to be offended by. And
how dare you say that?
how dare I? And what I listened to this, it was a pastor that was given um, a sermon on of being offended, right? And he said something that I will always stick with me, and especially when somebody offends you, and this pertains to the dog world, very much so, because we have a lot of infighting. There's a saying that goes that if you get 3 dog trainers in a room, the only thing that 2 of them will agree with is that the third one is wrong. And so people get offended by others' techniques. They get offended by what they do with the dog, and they might just be seeing a snippet of the training progress. And it's important to allow a full picture view, but also people get offended on what others might say to them. And this is where the sermon comes in, and it says that when somebody says something to you that offends you, the first thing that you do is you nurse it. So you're like, oh man, I can't believe that. And then you rehearse it. So then you practice it in your mind of what they said or whatever, and you reaffirm to yourself that yeah, you should be offended because he said something wrong or something that upset you. And the third one is you disperse it. So you nurse, rehearse, and disperse. And once you start getting into that pattern of behavior, that's the time to stop and just be aware of your own reaction to something that's happening. And I find myself being, if I'm offended over 24 hours, and I really have to have a conversation with myself and just be like, drop it, Bill. Like it's easy to get down that rabbit hole of holding on to that, and it doesn't serve us well as an industry. It doesn't serve us well as individuals. And if you're a believer, it takes our focus off of God, where I believe that it should be. And so keep that in mind, you guys. So with that being said, I'm gonna go share this on Facebook. And while I do you want to give yourself or give everybody your introduction of who you are, your astrological sign, and what you do, where you're located, and what you're all about, Joe?
Yeah, so I'm Joe Hodge. I run Hodge Canine with my wife Emily, and my two daughters are usually helping out with it as well. We're down here in Chandler, Arizona, which is just outside of Phoenix. We've had our business now for 3 years, which the last time we spoke, I can't believe it was like 2 years ago, but that was like right after, it was a few months after we launched, which was pretty cool to look back on that memory. But yeah, do pet dogs. Also kind of help out with a Schutzen club or IGB club now. And also a GM for the NAPA Po Gold School. So
got a cool website.
Yeah.
Shout out to your girls, man. What are your girls' names?
So my oldest is Millie, and my youngest is Cece. So I have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old.
Hi, Millie. Hi, Cece.
There you go.
I know
she's bummed that she couldn't say hi.
Dude, nap time is important.
To jump in here.
I wish I was in a nap time right now, just so you know. So, and then we have Kashi from India, who, no kidding. I got mine. Whoops, I got mine right here. And I was just
cheers.
Just driving. Yeah, cheers. I was just driving in Seattle traffic, and that's why we were late. But just kind of getting settled now. We have April. April is one of my supporters on Patreon, as well as a shadow student of mine here in the Pacific Northwest. And Lele, her daughter, is joining as well. And so no swearing. I'll try my best. I'm with Joe. Joe's pretty good about that. Yep. Get off my chair, dog. I have a dog. I just got a new office chair, and my dogs all want to jump on it. And Surrender is another Patreon supporter. Thank you. Look at that dog he's got, man. What a beautiful.
That's awesome.
Cane Corso. And we have a live stream where we did a Zoom, and he was featured in that as well. And his dog was present. So man, what's going on with you in the business? I want to talk about a few things. I want to talk about your experience and learning and your observations thus far operating your business. So how's it going?
It's going good. We're growing faster, than kind of anticipated. There's always kind of moving parts and always trying to stay ahead of kind of where we need to be a couple years from now and kind of planning out different things. But it's been really good. We do board and trains, try to keep it at 4-dog max, and then do private in-home lessons too. And living, like I said, outside the Phoenix area, there's definitely lots of people that need helps with their dogs. So that's also kind of cool environment where, there's not a lot of like competition where sometimes, in the smaller spaces, it can feel like, oh, we gotta, keep all of it to myself where I can kind of link up with trainers in the area and bounce ideas off of and that kind of stuff. So it's been pretty cool. Just finished a project with raising a puppy for a year for another um, guy that I work with and used to be my boss when I worked at Top Dog Canine.
Okay.
Um, and so, yeah, that was a fun project raising him and kind of documenting that whole process, being able to kind of experiment with different things, especially being the first dog that I raised, kind of start to finish in the NAPOPO system. So that was super enjoyable. And yeah, it's been pretty good.
What did you think about that experience? I mean, you say it's super enjoyable, and did you get attached?
I didn't get super attached because from the start I knew that
That's
he
right.
would be leaving. And Heather actually like commented on that. And I was like, yeah, about a month before he went home, he had like explosive diarrhea 3 times in the same day in the crate. So I had to like deep clean my whole garage and like that day I was like, all right, man, I'm ready for you to leave. And then like 3 days later, I'm like, buddy, I'm gonna miss you.
Welcome to dog
um,
training.
exactly, right. Um, but no, it's cool to see, that progression and knowing that he's gonna go to a home and kind of be a good fit for somebody, and then I get to start that process again.
Yeah.
Um, so that's enjoyable and makes it fun. But yeah, definitely towards the end there, I was like, oh man, if I had another couple months with you, bud, you know.
Well,
Um,
and I think
but it
that
was fun.
it's key when, like, I've had dogs that didn't belong to anybody that I trained up that I was hoping to sell like a finished trained dog, right? But because they didn't belong to anybody, I bonded with them, right? But I've also had
Yep.
dogs that have come to me that already belonged to somebody, and I didn't get attached because I knew I was doing this for somebody else that was secured in this relationship. And so that's my words of advice to anybody that wants to sell trained dogs is try to find a buyer before the process starts, because it's going to be much easier for your emotional state, and I believe for that dog's emotional state as well, because there's a degree of separation that you are in fact doing this for somebody else. This dog has already been purchased, and you don't need to worry about that aspect of it. So um, when you do a typical board and train, Joe, how long are you keeping the dogs?
My average is 4 weeks. So I offer a 2 if I have done private lessons with the dog, and it's kind of more touch up style. And then I also offer a 6, but the average dog that comes stays for me for a month,
Okay.
for 4 weeks.
Yeah, I like
But
that.
this one was a special circumstance. Like I said, my old boss was like, "Hey, if I, pay you for a year to raise this dog, would you be able to do that?" And like you said, the big thing for me with that was like I didn't want any process of like finding somebody for him, you know, selling, picking any of that. I was like, I can kind of separate church and state there a little bit and just focus on the training there, and so that made it good.
Yeah. Yeah, that's be professional about it. And with my board and trains, I do kind of the same thing. If you're doing a private training with me and you kind of want me to fill in the gaps, right? And and there's certain aspects of this training that it makes sense for a professional to take over, right? To kind of fine tune or to kind of get you through maybe a challenging part of the training to get that dog's understanding achieved in a professional way. Where sometimes we have people that might be busy in life, right? They don't have the time or the effort, or they don't have the time to put in the effort that it takes for this dog to be trained. And even, I mean, initially the understanding, the upkeep they might have time for, but to do the initial training, they just might not have that time. Um, or there might be a coordination effort, or maybe the introduction to the e-collar, right? Where a lot of times I've seen people kind of rush that, and so that's another aspect of this. Like, I put the collar on the dog, I let them wear it, and especially if they have an understanding of commands, then I'll start to utilize the collar with the commands. Let the dog wear it. I'm not using that collar as a hammer, where a lot of people have a misconception of how that collar is used, and they start to do, as we call it, a popo nay approach, where they're loving, loving, loving that dog, and then here comes that hammer.
Mhm.
Where if you structure it correctly, the hammer, the dog is prepared for the hammer when it does eventually come, what we call a correction. And so I start to use the collar lower level and in a conversational way with the commands that the dog already knows. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's, an extension of the leash in my mind. Sometimes I jokingly call it the Bluetooth leash.
Okay.
Uh, but, the more I can kind of, teach another language that the dog understands, is very clear on, knows what the expectation, has good attitude to do the behavior, right? And now it's guiding them to where they want to do most of the time. Then when it becomes the day when they're like, I don't really feel like it, and now that comes in, they have thousands of reps of it guiding them to what they want to do, and so now there's no conflict in that, right? They're like, all right, cool,
Well,
blue.
it's like when if you guys watch the live stream that I did with Pat Stewart and Glenn from the Canine Paradigm, which stand up just a little bit. Let me see.
Uh,
Yeah,
where's my camera lens? There we go.
the Canine Paradigm as a podcast, I highly recommend. I'll go put up a link to that Govee, and then also to the Canine Paradigm. But we were talking about honing down behavior, right? And we were actually talking about using the prong collar to do that, to provide firm boundaries. But that's also what the e-collar is really good for as well. Is like, look, the dog is unlimited with the behavior they can express, but we're looking for this one particular thing. Instead of letting the dog be overwhelmed by the options, the possibilities of the behavior, we can hone it down and help him a little bit in a way that is more generalized. Sorry, I got dogs jumping on my new seat left and right here underneath me. They're taking turns. And it's universal. It is very um, like it's constant, right? It's consistent. There we go. In a consistent manner, where the dog can learn, and in a manner that is not necessarily personal either. It's something that is general. The dog can learn based on the environment and their experience. Yeah. Do you have a better way to put that?
Yeah, I mean, it's as Bart would say, the greatest pros of the e-collar is it's not personal and it's not directional. And the
Right.
greatest cons of the e-collar is it's not personal and it's not directional, So it's, if I can, if I need to not be associated with, you know, an aversive stim, then I can have that level of separation, right? Whereas if I needed something that was more personal, then maybe a leash would be a better tool in that situation. So that way it's very clear that it comes from me. If it's, I'm guiding the dog and I need, to have a directional, then okay, the leash is going to be a better tool. If I need the dog to kind of figure it out a little bit more on its own, um, then e-collar might be a better application of that.
Yep. Well, it's also the picture that we're showing this dog too is easy to recreate with that e-collar as well.
Mm-hmm.
And the one thing I love about the e-collars, my client God bless her. She just sent me this picture of her dog ripping up her garden. And I'm like, she's like, I got the e-collar on. I don't know what's going on. And became disconnected somehow. And so I had a little lesson with her on how to reconnect the collar with the transmitter, and then made sure that the finger kick was also connected. But that's the other aspect of this too, is like, look, in a way that was good because the dog was wearing the collar and showed the behavior, and it wasn't collar wise. And sometimes we have to have that collar just in case, because things are going to uh, be exciting to that dog. And when they're wearing a collar, I want them to behave a certain way and to be mindful of their behavior. And the dog was wearing the collar, still chose to do the behavior, and now we can set up a situation where we can show them that that's not what we want or what we desire.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Setting up the next time, control the outcome, and yeah.
And then I put up a link. I need to do this GoPro or the GoV before I forget about it. So, you've also done some gold schools in the meantime too. Thermal hydrator.
Yeah. So me and my buddy Chris up in Montana, we do 2 schools in Montana and 2 schools in Arizona each year, and so that's been really good fit.
How do you know Chris?
Teaching with him, we did silver school together. So,
and that's the only time that you've known him.
Yeah. So when I went to silver, we were kind of sitting at the same table, and the first day he was, Chris, he likes to talk. I like to listen. So, it was match made in heaven. So he's telling stories, and he was going, my wife, she's a lawyer, and then blah blah blah. He tells a story. My wife, she's a lawyer, blah blah blah. So it was like day 2, and he goes, my wife, and I go, the lawyer, right? And he kind of gave me this look. He's like, all right, I like this guy, and we hit it off, and stayed in contact after silver school. And when the new kind of framework of schools kind of came out, I can't remember if he reached out to me or I reached out to him, but it was like, hey, do you want to link up? And because half the year nobody's coming to Arizona, and I'm sure it's the same with you in Montana. With snow on the ground, nobody really wants to be out there during that time of the year. They want it when it's nice and once the summer. And so, yeah, we've been doing that, and it's been a lot of fun teaching with them.
Well, what have you learned in doing these? So you've done 4 schools so far. How many schools have you done?
Let's see. Together, we've done the first one. I went up there. I just kind of audit, and just kind of sat in. I wasn't like actively teaching the first one. Appreciate it, Alexa. So I went up for that one, and then I think we've done 2 schools after that together. I did one by myself, and then we have one coming up in August, so just in a few weeks, and then another one down here in November.
What are your dates for your August school?
Oh man, I'm so bad at this.
On the spot.
It's the end of the August. I know that one's full though.
Okay.
We have 10 students for that one. And then November, I'm not sure.
I'll find it for you.
Awesome business owner right here.
Well, I mean, it's also here. Let me find these because we have graphics. So the November 4th through the 8th is going to be your gold school in November.
Yep.
And here's the graphic for that.
Boom.
And I think you and Chris have a unique style of teaching, and you guys are good, man, and you're good together. And the reason I say this is because at the gold school, you guys put on kind of a study group every night at the silver school in Missouri. You guys put on a study group every night. And I was lucky enough to attend one of those, and I was listening. And I'm like, man, you guys are good. You have a good way of putting this stuff, You have a good way of teaching it in a way that it kind of brings about a bit of understanding, but also a bit of clarity and a bit of ease. Because if you have never been to a silver school, it is a pretty big deal, man. And it's pretty. How would you describe silver school when you back when you and Chris were at silver school? What were your thoughts on that whole experience?
It's a lot to take in all at once. So I remember I flew out a couple days before, got a rental car, and I even like drove to, the property to check. And um, saw Bart there, like getting ready and prepping, and I was like, oh my gosh, it was like that kind of like starstruck fangirling, like, oh my god, there's Bart, you know. And then it was just like trying to take everything in, um, all the information, all the little, um, you know, the lunch times and the breakfasts and the like side conversations. Will, who was just on your show, he was at my silver school, so like,
Awesome.
I knew of him, never met him, and just like listening to him talk. There's so many cool people that are there that know a lot. Um, and then just trying to take in all the information that you can't, your hands cramping, trying to write down as many notes, as you can. And then, you look at it 3 months later and you're like, I don't even know what I was trying to put there. I was just trying to keep up. Um, and then what was cool about the old school was they mixed the role games in, and everybody had to like go up and talk and present and BS after, like sell the pen kind of stuff. So there was a lot of that where now I think it's the framework of it is so condensed that it's sometimes harder if you don't get that time to just understand the bardisms.
Mm-hmm.
Like it seems like every day, the first day, they're like, when he said that, like, I don't even know what that was. And it's like, oh, that's a, normal bardism. Like, this is kind of what he meant by that, And so it's kind of like translating a little bit on the first day. And then usually the second day, people kind of get more at ease. And then, third day's kind of the last day, kind of graduation day. So it's a lot more condensed. Um, but, that's why Chris and I wanted to, give another outlet for people to kind of come, and we can kind of fill in some of those blanks that we can, give a different perspective, different stories, analogies, to kind of help fill it in, and also um, have it be less pressured, because Bart and Michael, they want to put a little bit of that pressure on people, and have that struggle that promotes learning. But then at the end of the night, we can be like, all right, that's not our job. Like, we can kind of come in and, crack a beer. Let's hang out. Let's discuss this, have a flow to it, have a purpose in mind, but, you know, letting things kind of seep and letting you kind of work through things a little bit. So yeah, it's been a good time.
Can you move your screen just over just a little bit? You're a little bit lopsided. Yeah,
There.
or other
Yeah,
way.
yeah, yeah.
No, that way.
This way. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. Because when you lean, you're on the. I like it. There you go.
There
Perfect.
we go.
Hold on. Let
Perfect.
me see. Yeah. Okay. Where's Chris? We need Chris. Um. Yeah, Derek, looks like Derek was part of yours as well. He said he got a great silver lineup. This one was Adrian. Do you know Adrian Forsyth?
I've never met her, but I've heard the name. I know she was kind of your saver in Silver
Damn
School, from what
right.
I hear.
Yeah, she was, man. She was absolutely my savior. And the reason being is like we couldn't, so things have changed a little bit even with this Silver School. We could not access information from Gold School people. So we had a lot of Gold School people staying at our Airbnb, and they're just drinking beer, watching us struggle, dude. And they're like, "Oh, I wish I could help you. I can't." Right? But Adrian was my saving grace, man. She helped me understand. She took me, sat me down, and showed me some examples of the quadrants that made me really get it, dude. And I owe so much to her. And we've remained friends. And Adrian and I are going to be launching a little side project that we'll be doing soon where we explain. We call it the Response Olympics, where we show people how we respond to different um, just different things that our clients might say to us when we're working with dogs and how we get them to understand the concepts as pet dog people, right? And she's actually doing the PSA thing, and I've been watching her with that experience, and that's been pretty cool. She just was up at Chris's place doing the trial that they did last at the end of June here. So, what's up, Adrian? Yeah,
Yeah.
she's my buddy, and I am so thankful for her. And this just goes to show you, like you and Chris knew each other. I knew Adrian before Silver School, but I think that we really bonded during that time. And yeah, she says it's gorgeous up there. Yep, Montana is amazing, and Adrian's an Idahoan. I'm from Idaho as well, so
Okay.
she's also. And yeah, love meeting all the Montana folks. And Alexa and
Yeah, I
Lynx,
heard it was a great trial.
or Adrian and Lynx were so. Alexa says Adrian and Lynx were so awesome to watch and compete with. Yeah, and check out Alexa's profile pic, man. That's so cool.
Yeah.
And I'm
Her
getting
dog
the.
Frank is awesome.
She got
Alexa, yeah.
a Malinois named Frank.
No, it's a little, I'm gonna butcher the breed, but
Let us know,
it's this
Alexa, what
little
it is.
pocket rocket thing that they just got their first leg of the one in Montana, and she's put a ton of work into that dog, and he's awesome. He's one of my favorite dogs.
I'm pretty much can tell you that I'll be joining the PSA crowd someday because I see what it's done to my friends, and I'm intrigued, dude.
Patterdale Terrier. That's what it is. Patterdale Terrier.
Oh well, yeah, Patterdales can be. That's what Josh Moran, the barefoot dog trainer, had. Yeah, like, and even these little Malin, or not the little Mal, I call them little Mal sometimes. These little skipper keys, man.
Mhm.
They can be. I mean, that kind of looks like a Patterdale in some ways, but they can be like little Malinois. They can. That's where I took a little skipper key to my. There's another one here. There's a little turkey that keeps on getting on my chair. Once one gets off, the other one gets on. I took a little skipper key to my Gold School. Get off of here, dog! And it makes them tough. Yeah, Adrian is Alexa Walsh, dude, back at you. Team Frank for life. Now we're having a little. We'll get back to the
Yeah.
comments here, but there's just something that happens, man. Where as I was speaking with Will about PSA, and we'll talk you and I about why IGP over PSA here in just a second, but I just see so many people joining and they're kind of trepidatious. They're kind of dipping their foot in the water, dipping their toe in the water, and then they're all in, dude. And it changes them. And they want to achieve levels 1, 2, 3 in obedience and protection. And I like the real world aspect of PSA. I like that it's not just a routine, that the dog, you don't know what you're coming into, the dog doesn't know what they're coming into. We belong in a world where there's chaos and order is a natural rhythm of what we experience. And we don't, I tell my clients all the time, man, we can't control the world, but we sure as hell can train our dog to exist in it with us. And so that's what's attractive to me about PSA. So just kind of putting it out there that the seed has been planted. It's going to start to germinate in the next couple of years, and I'm sure I'll be looking for a dog and then looking for some help with the process of how to raise that dog correctly and how to work them. And so I can start to spend all my money traveling around.
I'm excited for you.
So why AGP? Why are you doing that instead of PSA? Or are
I
you doing
enjoy.
PSA as well?
I'm not. So I don't actively have a competition dog. The two dogs I have are 11 and 9 right now, and having two girls at 1 and 3, I know what I would want to put into my competition dog and to be successful in the sport.
Would have to
I
take
don't
away from
have
the
the
girls.
time.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I'm like notorious for being in my club now for 6 years and not having a dog the entire time that I've competed in. So I just kind of go and help out and help with problem solving little things, or explain things to newer kind of members, and trying to get my hands on doing more helper work and that kind of stuff to just get better at different aspects of it. But yeah, the reason for me IGP is twofold. One, the club is literally in my backyard, not literally, but like 2 miles away from me, so it's an easy access there, and a lot of the little components of IGP I can do on my own. So for me, with that sport, schedule, family time, all of that, that makes more sense in my mind, where I can go, okay, I don't need as much help in the foundation layer. Whereas, with PSA, you're going to need lots of helps with decoys and
Yeah.
multiple different stuff. So I think as of right now, time commitment wise, I think IGP seems a little bit more feasible for me. But not to say I wouldn't compete in the sport. I definitely enjoy watching it every time I go and train with Chris. I enjoy working with him on that, and brainstorming different things, learning and stealing stuff from him. So I definitely enjoy the sport, but I think IGP is a little bit more feasible for me in the near future.
Well, and I was talking to Fred Hassan, who's PSA, been really jumping into that sport as well, and I was asking him why, and same thing is like, look, man, this is, although it takes a lot more effort and we need full bite suits, it's, you just don't know what you're walking into, and
Yeah.
it really changes your perspective on dog training. Oh my gosh, that was actually here, let me grab Pecan. Where you at, Pecan? Pecan's in here too, but she thought Maple was Pecan. Come here, Pecan. Here's another one. So I got 3 of these guys in this room.
That's awesome.
Say hi to Aunt Adrienne Pecan. This is the one that I took through Gold School. And so
Nice.
she's like my little mini Malinois. And I had a cop that was there with the Mal, and he's like, "Why you got that little dog, dude?" And the first thing that we did was some man trailing, and she was a puppy, and I went and hid it off in the woods, and this dog tore off, dude, and found me. And I go
Nice.
up to the guy, and I'm just holding this dog, walking back to the place, and he comes up to me. He's like, "Bro, I get it, I get it." And then afterwards, he wanted to buy one of her pups, but she was
Oh,
she was she wasn't able to have puppies for some reason. So, and that's where Pecan. So,
nice.
Frank and I are blushing. Made us drug addicts. Yep, that's what you guys look like. All you PSA people are a bunch of druggies wanting to better your score. But Will said something too about the PSA. Little dogs rock. Yes, they do. They're a totally different aspect of training little dogs, right? And but if you have the equipment to, there's certain equipment that little dogs. Maybe I'll do an episode, especially on my Patreon, on all the equipment that I use for my little dogs. I mean, it's definitely a Skinner box, or bringing them up to your level, especially when we're teaching them how to heel and automatic sits and all that stuff. Um, it's a lot different reaching all the way down to the ground than it is when you have to reach to your side or to your waist level like you do with bigger dogs. Let me get back to what I was saying about the PSA. And Will was talking about how it's an individual experience with every individual and their dog. And I know that's like that with other sports, but I can see how it's more of a deeper level of preparedness for the PSA, because you really don't know what you're walking into. And in the IGP, the Schutzen, it's almost like a routine. And I've seen
Mhm.
dogs do the routine not on the working field, like that it's a certain set, like it's time for this, it's time for that, and there's the obedience, the protection, and then the tracking element. Now, one thing that I wish that they had more of in PSA is the nose work element.
Right.
And so that was the only thing that really kind of turned me away from PSA, was that they have the tracking and the article indication. But Fred was telling me about the article indication that they do have in PSA as well, and then the retrieve aspect. And so I think that, there's just, as this grows worldwide, that we're going to see many different integrations and evolving aspects of that sport.
Yeah, it's, like I said, it's what, 20 years old, something like that. So it's new, it's changing, and more people are getting into it. It's fun to watch, especially not knowing what's going to happen. It's more entertaining than kind of the IGP. I think one of the things that's kind of cool on the IGP, for me, is going like, all right, everybody's going to do the routine, same routine, and now it's how do you get that little point edge, or how do you get it a little bit better, and different problem solvings of that, of like, okay, they're not just doing it, but how do I kind of make it a little bit more, a little bit this, and pulling different things out of the dog. um, so that's kind of a fun aspect of it within the routine, but that doesn't necessarily translate to the average person as much as like a PSA would. PSA, like, you don't really need to know much without seeing that excitement that's happening and be like, cool, that's entertaining. Whereas, unless you're really into the IGP sport, it's like, all right, I've seen the three. It's like watching figure skating or something. You're like, all right, I've seen it. What's the difference? Unless you kind of really know. So,
Well, and know the subtleties that we do as handlers that can bring out more clarity with that dog as well, that you
mhm,
might not see in the routine
right.
in IGP. And I've heard, and on my Patreon, actually, with the coach of the IGP, Mark Payon, the IGP USA team, he gives some tips and tricks about the collars that they use and how he raises his puppies to go and run to him and sit in front of him every time he takes a deep breath. And that blew my mind, dude. It blew my mind. So that's on my Patreon. I won't give it away. There's some certain nuggets that you guys watch on the Patreon, that is amazing, and how he rears and raises these puppies. And that's why I want to tap into my network of people. And I don't know about PSA clubs in Seattle. Let me see about that real quick. And while I'm talking about that, there is a class that Heather and I. So I've met Heather Lowell at the Gold School, and we just kind of hit it off, man. And I like the male female aspect of that too. And she's smart as sharp as a tack, and she's a neurobiologist. And we're going to be doing a Gold School here at my property at the Bow Wow Bill Ranch, August 12th through the 17th, and we still have spaces available for that. I haven't really pushed it
Nice.
as much as I should, but I'm still new into this. This is my second class. And what I learned from my first class, man, is that this is a commitment, dude. And
Yeah.
there's a lot to teach, and there's a lot of structure, a lot of ground to cover. And the elements that were missing out of the silver school that I took, I need to kind of pepper into the gold school that I'm teaching.
Mhm.
Right. And so the role playing exercises, I got to sell the pen. Do you know what Bart said to me when in silver school when I sold the pen?
What's that?
He's like, Bill is an excellent bullshit artist. I'm like, thanks, Bart. I went and sat down
Nice.
because no
Good.
no any of that stuff. I do it
Mhm.
all the time on my podcast here, but
Right.
it's important to see. There we go. To know why you want to speak with authority on certain things and how to come across as that person, and to be knowledgeable, and to get people to learn, and to you know to retain, and to make sure that you are knowledgeable on that whatever you're teaching. So.
It's fun. Each class that we've done has a different feel. So Chris and I have roughly the same template that we go through kind of each class of like, all right, Monday we're going to do this, Tuesday, etc. And every day after the class, like we do the campfire talks, and it's like, all right, where are we at today, and what's the plan for tomorrow? And every class has been different on that, like where are the themes and the group dynamic that goes into that, and so that's what's kind of cool and fun with it. Is it was like problem solving with the dogs kind of during the day, but then also problem solving with students, like how are we going to get this message across to this person that's going to be different than this person, and collectively, and everyone has different experiences and backgrounds, and then also some of the students that have come, like it's again kind of humbling that like, oh, you want to learn from me, like you've done maybe more than I have, or you know like one of the guys that went to the first school, like he was an instructor at one of the schools I went to before I even went to the school. So I'm like, you've been doing that before me, and you still kind of want to come and learn from me. It's just cool. It's humbling. It's definitely been enjoyable to kind of be a part of the gold schools and
Well,
have
I
that
think,
trust from Bart and Michael.
well, and there's certain aspects, like I'm doing a pet dog aspect of this, right? Where I'm teaching mostly pet dogs. I'm not involved in sports. I do some hunting, but it's also showing my clients that really don't care about NAPOPO. They just want help with this certain aspect of their dog. And I tell my students, like, look, your clients might not know, and they might not want to know. They might not be interested in the jargon and all this stuff that we do as professional dog trainers, because they're not a professional dog trainer. But it's important for you to know how they got to this point, because they've been inadvertently using NAPOPO philosophy to get their dog to be super reactive at the door, to pull on that leash. And it made me laugh so hard with the talk I did with Pat and Glenn. Did you see the part where Pat has a client that he wants to he brings out this German Shepherd, and the dog's going crazy and going nuts, and the guy, and then he puts him away, and Pat's like, yeah, man, it looks great to me. Yeah. And he's like, how do I stop that? Right.
Do everything opposite.
Right. Do it like it. And so that, as pet dog trainers, that's what we're being called to do. I often say in the working dog world, we're having the dog go, go, go. And in the pet dog world, we're having the dog stop, stop, stop. And so, but it's important to know how to make a dog, how they make their dogs go, go, go. And it might be something that they might not want. And so we can kind of reverse engineer it to make it stop. Mm-hmm. And so that's what,
or funnel it into something that you do want,
yes,
or make that drive to pull into the place bed, let that conflict kind of go into something that you do want, and then, oh my gosh, you won, dang it.
Yeah, well, and then how do we bring stability, right? Yeah. And how do we put gasoline on it? And so that's where, when you go to these schools too, it's not just their methodology. You're learning all the methodologies in some aspect, right? And so it's basically, I tell my students, pay attention to that stability, pay attention to that communism, pay attention to that room service, as Bart says, room service, and predictable rewards, right? Because then we have unpredictable rewards, we have click and release, we have different aspects that will bring about gasoline and ignition. And it's also important to know what's going to bring about stability and predictable outcomes. Mm-hmm. Right. And so that's what I bring is it's a totally different part of making this my own school, but also using the curriculum and the fundamentals that I've learned in the gold schools and then also the silver schools that I've been to fill in the gaps of what these students might not have experienced in the new gold, or excuse me, the new silver, and now the online silver. Have you taken the online silver yet?
I was one of the testers for like the first run or whatever. So I did half of it trying to break the system, trying to do the things wrong to see where the kind of flaws and stuff were. But um, that's the only kind of access that I've had to the online silver.
Yeah, same
And
here.
I haven't taught any students that have done the online silver, so I'm interested to get their perspective too on kind of, and then comparison of you know their retention versus going to the school, because I can see maybe the information they understand more on the online because they have that time to kind of review it over and over and over. But again, they're not going to get the in between kind of comments that maybe link things together, like when you're sitting next to Bart or Michael during the dinner times, or the stories that subtly change. That's why I like going back to the silver. Is every time I take notes still, because there's always the little things that are subtly changing. It's a growing and evolving system. Um, and I love when like Bart will have those days where he's like, all right, Golds, I'm on one today. Like
Yes, he
I'm
does.
in the zone today. I'm like, all right, gotta be on the game, writing notes today. So like it's that I think will be kind of interesting to see is the online. How does that student come out in comparison? Is there a common theme of things that they're getting more or less out of that experience? Um, so yeah, it'll be exciting to see. But I love that it's growing and more people are having access to it. Um, I know the quality of production was well done.
Shout out to
Um,
Chris. Run Your
exactly.
Pack Productions.
Um,
I got to put up a link
but
on that.
um, but no, it'll be cool to see as that kind of expands and grows and more people have access to it.
I love how they're constantly innovating, dude.
Hmm.
And
Always
that's,
3 steps ahead.
yeah, not just with their program, but also with their product too.
Hmm.
And there's growing pains that happen. There's inevitable shortfalls that will have to be fixed. There's the dynamic of people and both successes and failures within the community that are celebrated, and it's a very interesting thing to watch. As somebody that has been not just in the dog world but in corporate America as well, to see how clean it's evolving in some aspects. I love that, and I
Hmm.
look forward to what the future holds. And giving this information to people. If I was a new dog trainer, I can't even imagine where I would be now if I had this stuff at the beginning of my career.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've had a few students, like some that have come in, with years of experience, and then we've had some that have come in and they're brand new, and that's like the first thing that they've done. And that's like a cool dynamic to see, because some it's like I was that way. I had experience kind of doing more of a popo nay, approach, where it's everything is taught positive, and then kind of implementing corrections, and found success with that, and had a framework of that working. And then you get the new approach, and you're like, okay, that makes sense over here. That this makes sense over here. Like, how can I somewhat bridge? Why did this work, and why does this work, and kind of developing that. So that took me some time um, to kind of build that and take that back after I first left silver school, versus someone that kind of comes in fresh and then they're like, all right, I don't have any of that, but then some of the uh, language or understanding um, isn't as deep in some ways, so that takes a little bit more time, but then their like clarity of system becomes better. So um, it's always kind of cool to see that application versus the two types of students.
Well, and it takes some time um, to put this together, and that's one of the aspects of my gold schools, and why I kind of keep them spaced apart. Is I want people to process, right? There's a preparation, which you have some prerequisite material that you're supposed to read and go through. There's the experience of the class itself. And yes, I believe that the in-person class is much more significant than the online class. We'll see. I might be proven wrong. And then there is the processing afterwards. So it's a 3-part
Mm-hmm.
process: a preparation, experience, and then processing. And I see some people not allowing that process to take fold. In fact, Bart and Michael would say it takes 5 years
Right.
for you to truly understand this. And I think that it takes even more, because I'm always learning, even after, I had 2018. So yeah, 6 years, and I'm still learning.
Mm-hmm.
So it's something that it takes longer. I think that it's a lifelong kind of honing down, and with Michael and Bart too, it's something that they're always honing down as well, and changing their message. And I wanted to shout out our buddy Chris here too, because he's got a cool website. So Run Your Pack. Look at this dude with the sunglasses.
Oaken and Lisa.
Look at the learning pyramid, right? What is the learning pyramid? For those that don't know.
What's that?
What is the learning pyramid for those that don't know? If you see here, RYP, Pyramid of Greatness. So this is the Run Your Pack Pyramid of Greatness, but we also talk about, and if we see
Right.
in the NAPOPO logo here, that there is a pyramid. What is the pyramid?
Yeah, so it's the 3 phases. So regardless of what system that you're in, you're going to have 3 different phases. You're going to have the learning phase, you're going to have the intermittent phase, and then the top's going to be having that behavior under stimulus control. So the end goal is that at the end of the day, you ask the dog to do, and the dog does on command every time with heart and soul.
That's right. And then we help the dog along in the middle phase. But we help them intermittently, right, when they need help. Or excuse me, we help them along in the beginning phase, and then we'll help
So the
them.
first phase is always helping.
Yeah,
Second
always
is
help.
intermittent, and then
Yep.
third it's under stimulus control.
Cool, man. Look at this. Shout out to Chris. He's got the dirty bandana working. This is his working dogs.
Yep.
Man, he's such a creative dude. That's the other aspect of this that I love, is just meeting all the people. Like, I love watching Carabel working his dogs, man. He's surprising me how much he's doing and how well he's doing. I love watching Michael Bishop and him learning. I love watching you, Joe Hodge, my man. Watching you
Do all right.
become a beginner dog trainer and getting into this after going into the Army. And then you and I met on Clubhouse. Remember that?
Right. Yep.
Yeah. And then we met in person at the first Gold School. And
That's right.
at my first Gold School. I think it was the second Gold School that they had at the Bass Pro Shop. But just watching you innovate, and also watching you working with the dogs. One thing that you took this dog and for the year-long process, and one thing that's good about it is that the content that you created on TikTok, and I think did you post the progress on Facebook as well?
Yeah, it was Instagram and Facebook primarily.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's other aspects of getting paid for this as well, you guys, and that's something that I have to walk the walk too with these dogs. I've been doing some more content for my Patreon page, but I'm just not used to doing the videos and the just capturing the sequence of training. Is that something that you're finding easy, or what do you think about that, Joe?
Oh no, I'm horrible at it. That's why I was forced to do it. It was, as people have mentioned multiple times on here, like Kashi. It's I
You
like
still
to kind
hear
of say
Kashi?
I don't know, maybe.
Gotcha.
Um, but I like to kind of keep it kind of low key, and don't usually put myself out there a ton on kind of social media. Not not trying to be kind of huge in that. Just kind of like to keep it low key. But after I think it was like the first or second Gold School, Bart was like, "You're a good trainer. People just need to see that." And I was like, "All right, Bart. I didn't want you to say that, but." So I've tried to force myself to do kind of more of that, and then obviously, working with Chris, he's always trying to get me on camera every chance that he can. And I've kind of fought that for a long period of time. Even back when I like DJ'd, my like promos and stuff was never of my face. It was always like a logo and kind of little pop-ups here and there rather than trying to do a lot of promotion with that kind of stuff. So it goes against kind of my personality. I like to be more the quiet professional, but trying to force myself to be a little bit more out there into the world and into the social media space as much as I don't like it.
Well, dude, I'll hold you accountable if you do me. You want to be
Well,
accountability
that's why
buddy?
I appreciate, there's, very few things like this that I would do, but talking with you, I've always enjoyed that. Always been a comfortable conversation all the time. And um, so yeah, once the opportunity was there, I was like, all right, definitely want to do it with Bill, especially after our clubhouse conversations the first time, and then, doing again, in another 2 years, we'll do another one.
Yeah, absolutely. You're always welcome, but it's also
Yeah.
I like coaching trainers too, right? And
Yeah.
even just yesterday, I had a phone call and a consultation with another trainer, and I was like, "Thanks for calling, man. I appreciate." And he said something to me. He's like, "Yeah, dude, you're my trainer. You're my dog trainer." And I was
That
like,
was awesome.
"Awesome, dude. I'm honored to be your dog trainer." And he's like, "Dude, I can bring you any situation that I'm dealing with." And we actually talked about behavioral euthanasia, which is a really rough one, man.
Yeah.
And but it's an aspect of this industry that we need to keep into consideration, because it is something, it's the very last rung of a solution in my opinion, but it's still there. And it was something that this dog is just had a long history. She was 10 years old and she attacked another dog, and it was we just talked about it. We talked about that, and he says that he never ever, what's up ladies, he never ever felt judged. What's up, Yoris? Dude, Yoris, you're coming on one of these too, dude. I've been chasing Yoris like the skunk that's chasing the kitty cat,
Hmm.
Pepe Le
What was that,
Le
Pepe Le
Pew.
Pew?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm Pepe Le Pew, and Yoris
There
is
you go.
my kitty cat. But he said to me he doesn't feel judged. He doesn't feel like I'm coming down on him, that I truly listen to him. And I just took that as a badge of honor, man, because I don't judge people. And I've been in this industry for a very long time, long before the social media stuff, and I've seen so many cases. I've worked with thousands of dogs, and I just know that there's outliers out there. There's situations that we get ourselves in, even myself right now with 7 dogs. I'll never have this many dogs ever again in my life. But I started breeding these dogs, and one of these aspects of like training these dogs, oh, I'll keep this dog to train it so I can sell it. No,
Yeah.
I kept this dog to train it so I could keep it. Because
Keep
then
it.
I
Yeah.
I fell in love with all these dogs, man, and now they're in the pack, and I'm in the situation I'm in, and now I'm looking on the horizon, and I will never ever have more than 3 dogs in my life ever again. Once these dogs move on and go to heaven, um, then it's always a lesson being learned. And once we've decided, once we're done and think that we know it all, then we're dead in the water, bro. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, dude, I will be your accountability buddy, but I need you to be my
Love it.
accountability buddy too. And not only that, dude, but I
Well,
need to lose some weight. Like that's the aspect of, like, I quit smoking weed. I haven't smoked
okay,
weed
there you
since
go.
last April. So it's been over a year, and I never would have thought. I used to smoke it day and night, bro. I was a freaking pothead, And even in my earlier live streams, you'll see, and I have no issue with it. Like I can hang out with people that smoke it. I just was doing it to an element that I woke up one night and I was smoking it to go back to sleep in the middle of the night, and I was like, "Oh, dude, I have a problem."
Yeah.
And so I decided then, and but what happens is that your addictions kind of transmute into other aspects, and so I've started, I guess, eating more because I'm about 30 pounds
Okay.
over, and so that's the other aspect of this that I need help with, is just people to kind of be on me to keep up this regimen. I'm working out. I got calorie counter, a
Good for
scale I
you,
just
man. That's
bought,
awesome.
and so this is the other aspect of myself that I need help with, is, and maybe this aspect is making it me more hesitant about showing myself in a limelight of social media, and because I feel like I'm a fat piggy.
Nah, man. Nah.
I know I'm not, but I just feel that way, and so help me with that as well, and then maybe once I get my
You got it.
bod back, I'll I'll see how that
We'll
goes.
get our we'll get our we'll get our summer bods for our August schools.
Yeah, and Larry's not helping, dude. He's like, I'm fat for summer. I'm like, bro, don't tempt me, dude, because but I actually went to the doctor about testosterone to see,
Mhm.
because I'm almost 50 now, dude. I'm 47 years old. Dude, that freaking thing kills me. Um, and I found out, I did a sleep study. I found out that I'm severely
Okay.
sleep apneic, right? And so they gave me a CPAP, which is a thing that I wear, make me feel even more like a piggy. Wear on my nose, and I've never had one of these, but I just got it. And so he says that he believes that me being this severely sleep apneic might have led to me gaining some weight. And I'm like,
Okay.
dude, it's the food, bro. Like I'm eating like you mean it's not the Ben and Jerry's late at night? It's not the, that and I told the doctor I'm fatter than I've ever been in my life, and he's like, "Oh, I'm writing that in your chart." I'm like, "Do it, bro." But that's the aspect of like being true with ourselves, and confronting and making changes that might be uncomfortable. So I'm down,
Absolutely.
and I'm
Those
asking for your help, my
those are the
dog.
changes that you know, like when it's something that's uncomfortable, there's a reason why it's uncomfortable, and the best solution usually is pushing through it or going through it and embracing that and kind of fighting through it, and then giving yourself a little bit of grace on the way so that it's not that perfectionism of like, if I miss a day or if I don't do this, then it's like fall off kind of thing. Um,
Yeah, I
that's what I've
started.
always found with me is I'm very obsessive of the things that I get into. It's why I don't have a sport dog, is because I know that I'll be obsessive about it. So trying to, you know, really, that's like been the thing the last year that I've been trying to focus on personally, is like, how do I be okay with not chasing that kind of perfectionism? And that's, you know, even with those videos that I would post, like a lot of them, I was like, oh, I can tear this apart, but I'm just going to post it anyways. Just post it. No one cares, right? You're the only one that really cares. Just post it, move on to the next one. Um, so that's what I've found, like personally for me, is like, just do it. And if it doesn't go great, cool. But just keep it moving, one foot in front of the other.
Yeah, and you got those girls too, and they're at that age,
Yeah.
dude, that you can never get back, you know?
Hmm.
And then there's going to be a time where they're going to be like, I'm going to live my life, you live your life, and that's like, okay, I'm going to live my life too. I love you, but it's time that you face the world, and the wants and desires change. And a lot of times when my clients try to get the dog for the kid, I'm like, get a dog that you like.
Yeah.
Because it's going to come a point where that dog is going to be your dog, even though you're technically right now getting it for the kid. All right.
Yeah.
And I admire you for doing that, bro. I admire the fact that you are putting your family first where your priorities really need to be. And especially as a
Try to.
pet dog trainer. Um, sorry, I just got a text here that's taking my ADD away from me.
Squirrel.
What were you saying?
Squirrel.
Squirrel. That's totally it, dude. I'm like, what? What were you
Yeah,
saying?
it's fun. Like, like raising the girls, they've been a part of the journey too, which has always been kind of cool. Like, um, you know, Millie helped me take my dog Tucker to the vet yesterday. Like, and he had to get a blood draw and check the liver enzymes and all that. And she was like all about it. She was like,
Awesome.
Dr. Chen, like she, if she could have, she probably would have stuck the needle in,
I
she
got this.
loves that kind of stuff. Oh yeah. And my youngest, she's starting to get into it more too. Like she'll be 2 in November, and if I even like walk towards the garage, like she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go back there." So that's been cool, and trying to cherish those kind of moments because I know when they go to older, like you said, it'll be like, "All right, I need you to help me with this." I'm like, you know,
Like, Dad, I'm
so
busy. I'm on the
exactly,
phone, or excuse me,
yeah,
I'm on the hollow deck. By the time
on
they're,
the space net.
yeah, who knows? We're on the space net right now, bro. I have
That's right.
Starlink. You know that? I have
Oh, okay,
Starlink. Dude, let
I
me
did
show
not
you
know that.
something. I'll be right back. Hold on. Please hold. Sing while I'm gone. Sure. This might actually work for you in Arizona too, being out in the sticks. So Starlink, this is
Okay,
Starlink. This is the mini. So now they have a Starlink, a satellite dish that fits in your backpack
wow,
that you can take anywhere with you, and link up to the internet, even if you don't have cell phone service or anything. So we're on SpaceNet right now, man. Like, who knows what the future
loving it.
holds? That just was available on July 4th, so I just got that, and so now I can do live streams or upload information or goof off when I'm back in the wilderness. And I actually like it
Yeah.
because it brings an extra layer of security and safety to if I do large pack walks or anything out in the wilderness, that I can, just in case
Mm,
emergency happens, that I have
yeah.
satellite access to get help and ping my exact position in case something goes wrong. So that's why I am excited for that.
And when the Bow Wow Bill road tour starts, going to all these different places to do interviews, you'll be ready to go.
That's right. I'll put it on my RV out here. My RV, dude. I went and got this RV, and it's a 1992 B190 or Airstream 190. Let me see if I can show you a picture. You saw it down
Hmm.
in Missouri. Do you remember that?
Hmm.
The van that I got, but now it's all fixed up. Airstream 190, 1992. Let me show everybody with that Airstream that I have. And so, I've spent all this money to get the engine rebuilt, and finally got it back home. And dude, I wish it was this clean, but it's not this clean at all. Hold on. And then I bring it home and I show my wife, and do you know what the first thing that she says is?
What's that?
It's a lot smaller than I thought.
Ouch. Ouch.
Dude, for a guy, I'm just like, don't ever say that to a man. What are you doing? What are you doing? But here's what it looks like. Here's my RV is running, and the RV is sitting right here. I'm looking at it in my driveway here. So I went back to Missouri, drove it for 3 days. It's a diesel. That's the one that I wanted. Did I wish it looked that clean? It looks not even close to being this clean. I mean, it still has the paint and stuff on there, but it's a 1992, so it's 32 years old, and that's what I'll be doing some of my live streams in, man, and
You're
venturing
gonna
out
have to
with.
wrap it with the logo.
I think what I'm gonna do is my one of my good friends is a mural artist, and
Oh, cool.
he's painted all the murals in my barn, my training facility, but he's super good. And
Nice.
that's who I'm gonna have do the van. So I'm gonna see Wolf Council. Wolf Council, and that's his website, Wolf Council. Let me see if it's on the Wolf Council. Yep, this is him. So let's show his website here. But he was like doing
Oh, that's cool.
look at vehicles.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so this I'm gonna have him do something to my van, but he's done all of these vehicles where he's so cool, dude. Shout out to Raul. Look at this one, bro. With the
Yeah, that's awesome.
oh wait, this one right here. I guess I can zoom in like that. Little space. Oh, I can do all of these. Little wilderness, little farmland. Yeah, so he's done that, and then he's also he's done a lot of projects. He does paint schools. He works for a lot of like corporation gigs, like all these different. This is a basketball court for a school that he did.
Bringing me back to
Wolfcouncil.com.
my art school dropout days.
Yeah, but if you guys need him to paint your dog training facilities, he's done mine here. But look, kindness is the only strength there is. Love bond, like he does a lot of it for the Hispanic community. He's from Chile,
Okay.
and he's a great guy. He's one of my best friends, man. He's one of those people that I am just so honored to know, and so that's who's probably going to do my. Look at what he did for the eclipse. This little
That's
beetle
awesome.
here. Isn't that dope? Then what I told him to do for my barn, I was like, "Hey man, I just want you to do whatever you want to do. I'm a huge fan." And he's like, "I got 2 questions for you, bro." And I was like, "What's up?" And he's like, "Do you want psychedelic or do you want Burning Man?" And I was like, "Burning Man." He's like, "Gotcha."
Yeah.
And then that's what he did. So when you see in my barn, that's all my doing various things. Yeah. Yeah. Who knows? I'll have them on there. But yeah, that's just evolving and being able to bring the set live to these events, sit down and just talk to people in person is my next goal. And how I can do that, you guys, is by you joining my Patreon. So think about going over to Patreon and support me there. I'm almost to the point where I can afford this new laptop that I'm getting, but now I'm waiting for the new M4 chip on the MacBook Pro to come out. So that should be coming out this fall. So I'm going to be waiting for that. In the meantime, I'm buying a switcher. So with the cameras, just like we do here, how you can switch up just on the video, like look at that sexy man. And then look at this sexy man.
Ooh.
Except for I'll have 3-4 cameras that we can or as the person's talking, it's going to be them one on the screen just like this, and then if Joe say something, Joe.
Hi.
So then I would switch to see it like that. But and then switch back and forth, but automatically, and then we'd have the full room layout of us together. And
there's fancy with it.
This one
now, Bill.
I know. Look at that. Can you do this? I can do that. Dude, I should have done it like this the whole time.
You should have done it like this. this I think is a better fit. Even better.
Look at this. And then we could talk about, and then wait. Oh crap! How did I just do this? Dude, what about that?
There you go. Here, hold on. So anyways, my name is Joe. And or actually, yeah.
Dude, such a goofball. But it just goes to show you the technology and creating the content. Like this is easy for me. Like talking and like just live streaming it and then just pushing it out. That's perfect for me. But now what I need to do is also show people my dog training, show people that I do know what I'm doing with dogs, and help them any way that I can, especially with pet dogs and little fun tricks and stuff like that. And whatever they want to know, man. You know, I'm going to be shooting another video with Ollie, who I trained up. I've done a board and train recently. Oh, for my board and trains, I do 4 weeks, and then I'll
Okay.
give them back for a week, and then I'll take them for a week. So it's 5 weeks, but
Gotcha.
I want them to kind of work on what we've taught, and sometimes I'll even do 3 weeks, 1 week back, 1 week with me, 1 week back, 1 week with me. Does
Gotcha.
that make sense? Especially if I've done a
Yeah.
couple private trainings before. And a lot of times people just don't like being away from their dog. I've even done it where I've done it 5 days and then give them to them on the weekend with certain things that they need to work on during the weekend. But I've seen that a lot of people just don't work
Yeah.
on it, and I have to be real with the expectations, and then I'll do like refreshers, or if they go out of town for a week, I'm like, what do they need to work on? Right.
Yeah.
Um,
Little touch ups.
little touch ups here and there, but it's also, I never ever shame my clients, dude. That's not my job to shame them. If they don't do the work, then they don't do the work.
Right.
If they're not where they want to be in their with their dog, in the behavior that their dog is seeing, as long as it's not dangerous,
Right.
if I mean, I'm not shaming people anyway for a dangerous dog situation, but I'm not taking everybody as a client in that situation too. And a
Right.
lot of this behavior, some of it has to be really met head on, right? And so we need to address certain aspects before we start to get into the overall training of this dog. We need to show them, hey, look, this shit stops now. And
Mm.
sometimes that is a little popo nay. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, depending on what the expectation is, right? Like, but sometimes, there needs to be an aversive stim, from the beginning,
Well,
right?
they're
And sometimes it has to be old Napopo, where we use, like, we show the dog, and we show the dog with a level of pressure, kind of depending on what the goal of that dog and situation and all the variables that go into that dynamic, you know.
Yeah, and old Napopo is Keeler. I mean, this is all like, to me, that's it's very similar to the Keeler method of dog training, KMODT,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And speaking of which, I'll be having Tony Anchetta, who's finally got internet, and I've been talking with
Nice.
him. So I'll be having Tony Anchetta on, and I'll be having a lot of people on that don't have any experience with Napopo, that maybe they are a totally different realm of dog trainer or whatever. I talk to everybody, man. And but I'll be also talking to Fred Hassan here pretty soon. Actually, I should be talking to him this week. I need to call him. He just went to a competition, PSA, in Virginia. He's in Virginia now. And then Michael Carpenter will be on this Friday at 3 p.m. Pacific time. I'll be making an announcement here shortly. And then I'll be talking to a lot of people that just I kind of see on the horizon, or just like kind of catch my eye. And if anybody has any recommendations on who they would like to see on the live stream, please let me know. And I'll be doing. I want to do one with you and Chris too on my Patreon, Joe. Once Chris gets
Okay.
back from vacation, where
Yeah,
I
he's
want
on the
to.
beach somewhere drinking Yinglings.
I know we're all shouting him out, and he's not here. Little poop head. No, Chris is so rad. Chris is
Yeah.
genuinely a great guy. I've had some wonderful conversations. Dude, I was talking to Chris. Last time I talked to Chris, I got in trouble, bro, because I was late for my private training session. I wonder if they do this. I don't know. But so I talked to him. So yeah, do the thumbs down. Ha, mine works, yours
Yours does
doesn't.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. My thumb
Loser.
is more powerful than
That's right.
yours. Look at that, bro. Let's see if it does it like this now.
It's because you
It
got that
recognize
space net.
it is. It's because I got the powerful thumb. I don't know, but we were talking hours on end, and yeah, he's a great guy to be aligned with, and maybe someday I might have to come over with the van. It's only probably to Missoula, and
Mhm.
it's only like 8 hours away from me here. Is it? Yeah, maybe it's more, but and maybe attend one of your gold schools.
That'd be awesome. More than
We'll see.
welcome to come and audit it.
Yeah, I'm definitely, you're the one of the gold schools that I definitely recommend for people. Now, when you do your gold school, is it more for sport dog people, or is it pet dog, or how would you describe your gold school?
Combination. It's a combination. What I always tell people is my goal of the gold school is not to go, this is the way I train dogs and this is the way you should train dogs. It should be,
Right.
this is the system. These are the pros and cons. These are all the different ingredients. And even the way like Chris and I train, we do things subtly different. We don't like go, oh, that's wrong, or I wouldn't do it that way, but it's going like I might have a different perspective on it, or I might use this application of it different than he will. Um, and so our goal for the student is go understand all these principles, understand how it works, and then make that your own system. You know, you were speaking about like Curebell. Curebell is another one that I love watching. He's very creative. He's very thought provoking, right? And so the depths of understanding that he goes, or depths of questioning that he goes to on all the different aspects, I thoroughly enjoy because that's kind of the way I view training a lot too. Um, and then there's other people that are more of the like, let me just kind of go and flow and have a good read of the session and then afterwards analyze. And so, you know, the having that kind of mix that goes, all right, what is the principles and then how are you going to develop your system that works for you that makes sense depending if it's a sport dog, pet dog, um, military background. We've worked with, you know, a canine handler that came to one of our schools, you know, some real world application. So understanding that where different goals, different outcomes, different objectives, different personalities, those are all going to be variables and factors, but how do you make this system your own? Right. Which is one of my favorite things about it. You know, Bart has never said like, this is the exact way you have to do it. He goes, these are the rules. And at the end of the day, are you getting to the same end goal? And that's to have a dog that is always on cue with heart and soul. And if you have that, then you've met the criteria, you know, and there's different ways to get there. There's different routes, but understand the benefits of all the systems at play, all the tools, and kind of build that. So that's kind of our goal is to have people kind of build their own system, whether it's pet, sport, real world application.
Well, no, but I remember Bart saying, "Look, you got a backpack with all the tools in it."
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so that's where I finished my school. It's like, now that we've talked about the different quadrants and then how to utilize those different quadrants, what they mean. And then we're going to talk about the box feeding. We're going to talk about the pedestal. We're going to talk about the Skinner box. We're going to talk about the e-collar. And then how we use each one of these tools in the different quadrants, how we can use the tools, how feedback with the people too, is like my students. And that's the other aspect of this, is like no questions, no nothing. We have questions. We like we're working, it's a conversation, and then afterwards, and then also the back tie and the flexi pole that we have here, and the manners minder, right? There's so many different tools that we utilize to creatively build behavior, and then the different not just the different quadrants, but the different modalities of operant versus classical conditioning. And what are the advantages? What are the disadvantages of using all this stuff? How do we make the dog realize that this is their idea? And then how do we capture that behavior? And so you're absolutely right, man. And every dog is different too. Every person's different.
Right.
Every dog is different. So what you might utilize on this particular situation, you might flip the script and use 40% of this modality on this dog or this approach, and then use 60% of a different approach with this particular dog. And different functions of the pedestal, like grooming, husbandry stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but also giving dogs time to just kind of be aware of that situation, to get used to it for dogs that are a little bit more shut down.
Mm-hmm.
The ball dropper, and there's just so many aspects of this: man trailing, long line work, harnesses, different collars, all the things that are taken into consideration when we're working these dogs. Like, how do we activate our dog? How do we have the dog kind of relax or shut down, or not necessarily shut down, but to kind of
Be a
calm
little
the
bit more
dog.
stable. Yeah.
Yeah, stability, right?
Mhm.
And so all these aspects are being taken into consideration with the school that I do, and I'm assuming that you and Chris do, but it's also, then let's go get the dogs.
Yep. Yep.
Right? So the Silver School is all about the theory and understanding of the why behind what we do. And then the Gold School is about putting it to practice, putting our hands on dogs, bringing them out, and working them. And that's one thing that I love about it, is like just putting it into practice, making sure that
Um,
we see it unfold, and every single dog is different, just like every person is different. So
mhm.
that's the importance of it, man. So what about Emily? And that's your wife's name, right?
Yep. Yep. My wife's Emily.
So is she going to go to the school? I know that you guys run the
No, she
business
doesn't. She
together.
has no interest. She has no interest in doing any of the training. So she does all the operations.
Okay, same
So
with my
all the
wife, bro.
scheduling. Yep. So that's why, like, all the dates and all of that stuff. It's like absent-minded on me. I always joke I'm like Ron Burgundy with the calendar. If it's on the calendar, I'm there. If it's not on the calendar, I know nothing about it. You know.
Okay,
So
well that's what I need to do more with Dawn, because she's kind of at a different element of her life where she's looking to come more into my business, and that's what I need help with, is the scheduling and the clerical side of things. And so, and I've been actually talking to Larry Crone about how his wife and him work together, and that's the same thing. How do you find what do you think it works? Is it something that is
oh,
challenging to
it's
do with?
it's great. I mean, it's very similar to um, like when I work with Chris in the schools, like my weaknesses are his strengths, and his strengths or his weaknesses are kind of my strengths. And it's kind of the same with her. Is she's very planning, making sure things logistically make sense. And where I do that in like my training, when I set up a session, I'm like, all right, it's got to go this way. When it comes to like the business side, I'm like, I got to focus on the training. Where she can
Okay,
go, all right, like we need to block out this amount of time for XYZ. She's, already planning our youngest daughter's like birthday party that's 3 months out. And I'm like, I'll get there, when it's a week out, maybe,
maybe a
maybe the
couple
day
days.
before,
Yeah.
like, so like in our calendar, she's thinking about those kind of things and building that. So it's a great flow, where, uh, you know, her strengths are in that. And then also, all my clients, she's their first interaction, so she's the one that's talking to them. She's the one that's, um, having the level of empathy as a dog owner, but not having like right off the bat, like training perspective, so it's, I think it works really well. And even our reviews, like she's in a lot of the reviews just for that, because, she's great with customer service. She's great with getting back to people on time. Like I hear that all the time where it's like, she actually got back to me, right away, where other trainers we reached out to and they didn't even like return a phone call, or they didn't return a text or an email. Um, so she's very good at that. So yeah, it's been awesome working with her on that.
Man, you're kind of inspiring me to bring Dawn on. That's my
I would.
beautiful
It's a
wife.
it's a great, yeah. And
Okay.
even like,
Do you have a
when
script or anything that she does, or how did you guys? She just answers, and it's like, Hodge Canine, how can I help you? What does it look
yeah,
like for? I see on your website you have like a questionnaire that you have the people fill out here, right? That's here. Let me see down here. So
yeah,
when they contact you, here's a contact us. Let's talk. Okay.
yep.
And so, is this the majority of people come to you through the website here, or?
Through the website, or they'll call, and she'll talk on the phone and have a conversation with, and it's, trying to understand, what the person's after from their perspective. They may not know exactly what's going to help them or what that's going to need, but she's kind of setting expectations, right from kind of the get-go of, all right, like this is, what you're calling about. Like a lot of times we'll get the client that's like, my dog's great. My dog's, really good. We just have this one minor issue.
Okay.
And then she's good at, asking the kind of prompting questions that gets, more information out. So then after that first conversation, then she's going to schedule some type of evaluation, where I'll either do a Zoom evaluation or in person based on M's judgment of that. And
Do you charge
now
for
it
the
gives me a little.
evaluation?
I do.
Okay.
Zoom ones I don't, but the in-person ones I do.
Okay.
But then I have a little bit more information, and then I go through kind of my prompting and but yeah, it's worked out pretty good. But no, there's not necessarily like an official script. And before we started our own, when we were working at Top Dog boarding and training, she was doing the phones on the weekends for them. So she already had kind of experience doing that there. I had experience doing the training and being kind of the training director there. So then it was kind of a natural progression to go off on our own.
Cool. Who did your website? I think I asked this last time. You did, right?
Yeah. I can't remember I think it's Waypoint is the name of the company, but my wife went to college with the guy that built it. And so it's the only time we've ever really bartered for services, which I think I got kind of the best end of that deal, where, he came up with the logo, built the website.
It's a killer logo, dude.
Oh man, it's perfect.
This H with the freaking the little ear. I've commented before. Yeah, dude. I've commented on that logo before. Oh wait, here, let me show on the, because look at that logo.
Yeah. And they did like the whole kind of branding with that, where they were like, all right, what's kind of your background? They, went through my entire social medias. They even went back to like my DJing days and looked at the logo that I did with that. And, we're asking questions, have me fill out a bunch of stuff. And yeah, they came up with that. And I was like, it's perfect. Nailed it.
Dude, I'm going to do two things. I'm gonna get the information of that company from you after we get off here. I want you to send that to me, and then I might have my wife call your wife.
Yeah.
And see if just chat about what she does, and because like I said, we're at a point now where we're kind of at a crossroads. Like, does she go find another source of income from what she's already doing, or do I bring her on? And I would love to bring her on, but I would love to have her have a role that is helpful to me. And I provide way too much training and advice on the first call. Like I'll start, here's what you do, man. And without even knowing it, and that's kind of a weakness of mine, of just wanting to help people solve. I think us as men, that's kind of what we do. We want to solve the situation instead of just hearing people out, and then setting up part of time where we really address the problems and assess it for what it is.
Yeah, like I said, our company wouldn't be anywhere if it wasn't for her. I mean, like I said, she's the first contact, and even the last. Like when dogs go home, she has a local like dog bakery that she grabs some treats from and mails those out. And,
no kidding.
Really makes it kind of like a personal kind of experience, and where it's, like from the trainer perspective, it's like so locked in of hands on the dogs, and this is what we got to get to. She's thinking of it
these
more
are the
from
tools.
Like the owner perspective a little bit more, which has been great.
Hey Joe, thanks for the after class study sessions at 1123 Silver School. I was there too. It was super helpful in learning
enjoyed it.
Yeah, Napopo theory. And Ayadol is watching from the YouTube channel, if you guys haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel. And I'm also on X, but I'm not streaming live on X because I guess that you need a premium content on X or premium account on content or Jiminy Christmas. Premium account on X is required to live stream on their platform. Please upgrade to a premium subscription on X. There we go. So that's it. I can totally see Dawn making organic dog treats.
There you
Yeah,
go.
she
Perfect.
would. Yep, she would do it all too, man. So her and I are going to have a little chat tonight, I think. And April's coming over right after our live stream, man. So, dude, I love you. I appreciate having you in my life,
Likewise.
and yeah, man, and yeah, let's stay in touch with the whole accountability thing. I can make you accountable
Yeah,
for shooting
definitely.
some videos, and I'll send
I'll
you
need
some
it.
links to microphones, so you're not using a banana.
Sure.
You know, the
That's
little
true.
pocket
I
mic.
mean, it would have been funny though if it was just like this little, just hanging out on a stand. Car ran real good today.
Did it.
Don't know what to do with my hands.
Put them by your side. Either
That's
your
right.
first or your last. Not to be Ricky or Bobby. No. Awesome, brother. Anything else
Like I
that you
said,
want to
man, I
mention?
appreciate it. Like I said, there's very few people that I enjoy talking to on a live stream like this. So uh, I'm I'm definitely humbled to be on here. So I enjoyed it.
Well, I appreciate you, man. And yeah, you're always welcome and you're always an honor and you're one of the real ones, dude. You know?
I
So
appreciate that. Appreciate that.
we'll stay there. Let's say goodbye to everybody. Thank,
Thanks for watching.
thanks for watching and consider joining me on Patreon. And Alexa says, awesome episode. Thanks, Alexa. I love your freaking picture, bro. Like that's got to be one of my top 5 profile pictures. I didn't know I had a top 5 profile picture list in my head, but now you're part of it. So thanks, Alexa, and subscribe.
You need to get her on one of these.
Okay, Alexa, you're
She she
invited.
uh she competed in what was that? I think it was called Top Dog. On the A&E channel
Yeah,
where they had like the
Alexa,
little competition.
I'm
Yep.
gonna reach
So
out to
get
you,
Alexa on
Alexa.
here.
Yeah, I'd love to chat with you if you're interested, Alexa. Top Dog. Yeah, I want to know
Yep.
about Top Dog, and I also want to know about your PSA, your Patterdale,
Mhm.
and just your experiences. And it's just a casual conversation, very easy going, just like we did here. So I'm going to be reaching out to you, Alexa, and you're officially invited. So awesome, guys.
Perfect.
You stay right there, Joe. Don't you move a hair.